Hello, today I'll talk about the homeworlds of each of the house in Emperor of the Fading Sun. I will start with things that apply to all the houses, then I'll go through each house, then I'm going to give you a bit of my own feedback at the end, I suppose, in summary of them. So yeah, that's how we'll go about it. So let's start with the things that apply to every house in the game. So there are some buildings, or the cities actually, we will start with. The fort, the factory, the church, shield, palace, lab, and mine. I think the church is especially worth mentioning since it means you can change your sect at the beginning of the game, so you aren't tied to the one you start with. I will talk about the sects too a little bit, but I made a video about that already. And you can change them, so sure, there is a starting one, but it doesn't necessarily have to, you don't have to stick to it. There are also some units that everybody will have. You always start with an engineer, you always start with a priest, you always have the 5 scepters and the nobles. There is also one more on Byzantium, I suppose, we can mention that. The fleets that you start with, the space fleets, are also the same for all the houses. The rest of the unit composition can be a bit different. Yeah, I think... Oh yeah, another thing is there is always a gem deposit on every homeworld, so you should definitely make sure you find it quite quickly. So you have a surplus of gems, well, some stockpile of gems, before you even start producing starships, because you will need singularities to make singularities and gems. So you want to make sure you will be able to actually produce the ships once you eventually research them, which should also be your priority. But yes, so we have the buildings. I think that will be it for the things that apply to all the houses. Let's start with the Halan then. So, with Halan, one thing of course you can immediately notice is you start on a desert planet, and with that you can have some issues with food production compared to pretty much anywhere else. There are some areas when the food production can be pretty nice, but again, most of the planet is a desert. The good thing about that is it gives you trace, and the other thing is combines with your sect bonus, which gives you a lot of resource bonuses. You also have bonuses to loyalty and tax collection, so overall the sect is just very well rounded, it just helps your economy make more stuff, develop faster, and so on. But with the planet, well, the food can be a bit tricky, so you will either have to research arboreums, which will allow you to make food even in the deserts, or preferably, I suppose, just make some food on another planet. Again, this kind of depends whether you play with the global warehouse on or off. If you play with it on, well, there's no problem, just make food on another planet. If you play with it off, it could be a bit annoying having to constantly bring in food. But again, the thing to remember is that the desert is the good place to get to collect trace, and you have a lot of it. So even when you have arboreums, you could be making the farms, the arboreums of course, and making food even in the desert. So sure, it will solve the issue of low amount of food, but you're limiting the trace production, and trace is just needed in producing pretty much anything, so it's always good to have it, and a planet like that, you're in the perfect spot to have it, a lot of it. As for other things, so we went through, I don't think there's anything special about the units we have to mention. There are 4 rebel cities on the planet. This does not include ruins and such, that's completely separate, I'm just talking about rebel cities here. And I'm pretty sure that will be it for Lihalan. Next up we have the Hazat. As you can see, we're starting on a completely different planet, a ton of water here. Food should not be an issue, especially with their sect, which also gives a bonus to food production. There are 5 rebel cities here. Their sect is the Avestites, and primarily it focuses on improving your units. You get more starting experience, bonus to close attack, bonuses, was this camouflage? Yeah, there is camouflage bonus, there is bonus to side defense, there is bonus to armor, spot, yeah. Pretty much just a ton of bonuses. Yeah, bonuses to your units. So that's something you should really make use. Especially, I think this close attack bonus is something that can be very powerful when you make units which have already a strong close attack, and it gets a bit stronger, especially with their experience too. That's also very useful. But basically, most of you just get the attack sec bonus. Makes your units better. Pretty much what you need to know mostly about it. Yeah. That's pretty much it, I suppose. Well, you start with an arboreum, which is a bit interesting since, of course, you will have to research them if you want to construct them, but you start with one immediately. And it's near Exotica, so you don't even need to look for it. Of course, you still need to find your gem deposit though. So you have the 2 transport ships, but still moving a bit. Those cities can be a bit tricky, probably you want to use the spaceships for that. Yeah. Alright, next up we have House the Kados. This time the homeworld is a jungle planet. You also have not just transport ships, but even a small fleet here. transport ships and some destroyers. In fact, you have a lot of interesting units, so I think it's worth mentioning. You have there'll be a gunship somewhere. There are also, yeah, some air force here, as you can see. They have started with a spy, a shock legion, and so on. I think it was also, I think I recall, shock legion. No, that's pretty much it. But yeah, so you have all of these units that most factions just don't really start with at the beginning on Homeworlds. There are 5 rebel cities on this planet as well. So again, it's more of a single continent view. I was say no, there was a split here. Alright. But yeah, well, this jungle, so movement can be a bit hard. Other than that, their starting sect is eschatonics, so pretty much you get a lot of bonuses towards research. There are some bonuses to your units as well. I'm pretty sure, yeah, the side defense is a pretty large bonus for that. Other than that, it's mostly assist in research, and when you find ruins and such, you have a chance to get additional rewards from them. So you could get, for example, 2 technologies or something like that. But that is also an interesting thing to note. And I think that's pretty much it for the Kados. Alright, next up we have House Hawkwood. So one thing you really see, you already know where your gem deposits are, and in fact you start with 2. And there's even Trace here, pretty nice beginning. But other than that, as you can see, this is more of a frozen planet. The food production can be impacted, but I think overall it's not as bad as on the desert planets. Other than that, for units, I don't think there's really anything worth mentioning. You do start with a well, which is not usual. As far as, yeah, I don't think any other house starts with a well, to be honest. There are 4 rebel cities on the planet, and your starting sect is Aeons. Sanctuary Aeon is also their alternative name, and the main bonuses are for healing and protection from the plague. Again, it's not really enough to, like, completely protect you from the plague, so it would be useful if something happened, but mostly you're probably going to benefit from few bonuses to your units. Yeah, camouflage, it's not something major, but mainly you do have the faster healing rate, so you can make use of that. Otherwise, but personally, I don't think this is necessarily a very good sect, especially at the beginning, where it's like, well, yeah, probably you will not need that much healing. You're definitely going to need the protection from the plague at the start, but it's still pretty nice. Okay, I think that's pretty much it for them. And finally, we have House Al-Malik. As for units, no, pretty much nothing. I think they also have an Arboreum, yeah. I suppose I thought that were kind of unique in that way, but not really, I guess. But sure. As for the planet, there are 6 rebel cities here, so a bit more than usual, I suppose. We have mostly 1 continent, quite large, some bodies of water, no ships though for you, at the start at least. I suppose you don't really need them. Yeah, pretty regular planet, I suppose. Nothing really to talk about here. As for the sect, the Incarnate sect, quite, I suppose, a variety of bonuses. You have a bit lower maintenance, increased armor. Is it? Yeah, no, forget about the armor thing. But yeah, basically a lot of different bonuses. Yeah, here we have agility, camouflage, some production bonuses, some bonuses to research. It's like a little bit of everything is the best way, I think, to describe this sect. Quite interesting in its own way. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it for House Al-Malik. However, we can now go, so we have a historical map here, so let's talk about the positions of different homeworlds. If you're playing on the historical maps, and remember, if you're playing on a random map or some other different map, not the historic one, this is not going to matter or could be different. But looking at this, the one critical thing is the location to Byzantium and how far away you are from it. So let's start with the order of factions. So Lihalan, pretty easy, quite close here. That's usually, for most houses, that's the distance you usually have. But again, with Kish being positioned the way it is, sure, you are close to the Vow, but they're not necessarily going to attack you. They just live happily and end the game before there's something evil happens. Overall, you're pretty good central spot, I would say, like galaxy-wise. You should probably be able to find something for yourself if there's a competition. And again, the way Byzantium is pretty clear. For Decorum, that could be one problem, but you are the closest to it, so you should be able to take it. But yeah, it's very integral for your future conquests, and from there you can go to Part 2 and so on, like I did in my campaign. But anyway, that would be it. It's a pretty good position here. Now, of course, there is the Hazard, who have even better position right near the homeworld, the capital, sorry, of the Empire, as well as Leekheim, which not necessarily, I guess, for trade this could be good, but considering you also have bonuses that make your units better at fighting, being close to Byzantium can be beneficial, although until the region is selected you can't fight over Byzantium, so somebody could park an invasion fleet here, and you just have to watch it and wait for it to attack your homeworld, so this could kind of work against you, but overall, being close to Byzantium is good. And then we have... no, the Cados are next. So yeah, you're in the middle of nowhere, very close to the Vow. And Symbiote's not really, I suppose, but basically you're kind of far away. Like, sure, it may not seem like it, sure, just one more planet for most, but that is a lot, especially when it's really Corum, which probably the Lihalan will try to take over, right? So that could be a problem, but it's just far away, basically. That's the problem with it, I suppose. Next we have Hawkwood, which again, go closer, just two jumps away from the homeworld. And you're also in a very safe spot. There just isn't really anything that really endangers you, well, maybe apart from the Judge. Realistically, you're just on your own here in the north, I suppose. So yeah, also very good position, I'd say. And we have Al-Malik, which is like, okay, not only is it quite far away if you want to get to Byzantium, but you're also near the symbiotes, which will very likely actively attack you. So yeah, a pretty difficult start, I would say, as for the position. So yeah, I think that would be it. But I suppose we can kind of go on now into what house I would recommend for you to play, especially at the beginning. Well, I think the really, and just considering the second one, and you know, you can change the sect, so it's not like solid, but I think just the best ones. And I was thinking, does the position really change it that much? I don't think so. It's just, as far as I'm concerned, Lihalan and Hazard are just the way to go. With Lihalan having a desert planet, it's just, yeah, it can be a bit problematic with food, but it is extremely helpful. The Orthodox sect is just very well balanced all around, just providing you better economy, basically. So you have more of everything, expand faster and so on. And the Hazard, you know, the bonuses to your units just being better again, it's just very strong, even if you're not necessarily close. Although, again, if you're playing with Global Warehouse off, I suppose I could move more towards the Hazard, especially if you're playing on a historical map, because being so close to Byzantium while you have to deal with logistics could be very helpful in that case. Yeah, so yeah, as far as I'm concerned, as previously stated, so Lihalan or Hazard, I personally think Lihalan is the better choice, but Hazard to have this good historical spot and bonuses to units so strong. Like it's a very close one, I suppose. As for the other houses, they're just always something. It's like, well, yeah, you have bonuses to research, but that's not really the same as... The thing is that with Lihalan, with their bonuses to production, you can just use the bonus to production to build more labs and so on. Well, the bonus is just simply to the labs isn't really that strong, I think. With Al-Malik, sorry. Like the position at the symbiote is already bad enough, and you know the bonus to everything is kind of like, well, a little bit of everything. And the Hawkwood is even worse with the healing. I just don't really like that, to be honest. But again, as I mentioned, you can change these bonuses, so it's not that like they're set in stone. But yeah, that's just, I wanted to go over the starting stuff, and I think that's pretty much what I did. And I hope you find this helpful. I'm not sure if I have enough experience, to be honest. Maybe there are other tactics, like I haven't really gone to the worlds around the Homeworlds, which again on the historical map especially is something worth considering, because if you know what's in there, you can immediately make use of it. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this. If you want to see more, like and subscribe. Bye!